So I'm making this video as a kind of follow-up video of sorts to my previous video, but it's about something different because some crazy shit's been going on recently, and I just wanted to comment on it. So in the comments section of my video, I received a comment from Bane AU6, whatever the fuck his name is, Bane6066 AU man. He's an anti-feminist dude who is obsessed with skulls, and I find that kind of weird. But he brought up something in my comments section that I decided to check out, and it inspired this video. Fucking cat. Why don't you get out of my workspace? This fucking goddamn cat. If I can check the YouTube comments section, if I can get around this goddamn cat who's on the keyboard. Why are you lying there? Dude, get out of my way. Alright, I'm taking the keyboard away from him so that I can look up my comments. So Bane said, floobily flu, nuance, doobily boo, blah 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 blah. Very good points, disproved everything I said, whatever. Then at the bottom he said, while on the topic of double standards and dogpiling, your side seems to be silent about the recent attacks on Irate Bear. Thoughts? Now, Irate Bear, from what I understand, is another anti-feminist YouTuber guy who uses a bear, and I don't really know too much about him because I generally didn't pay very much attention to him because it just seemed like another fucking animal anti-feminist character who would just make videos being like, safe spaces, snowflakes, blah blah, you know. It all becomes kind of noise because it's just sort of the same shit over and over again, and it's just another fucking animal guy, so I've never really paid any attention to him. No offense to you, Mr. Bear Man. But he made a video recently where he talked about something that happened to him. The weird thing is it doesn't really fall within the purview of all the things that I was complaining about to do with dogpiling. I've been very clear that my main number one complaint about dogpiling was basically when you troll around YouTube or the internet and you find some random, poorly argued video by some tiny channel, and then you decide to make a video dogpiling and crushing and wrecking and destroying that random person, and they get massively dogpiled, and then they leave the internet or private their videos, or they just can't deal with that kind of shit, and you're a jerk, and you're like, I don't care. You're just supposed to get over it, even though you don't really have experience with this kind of thing, and I feel perfectly fine about that, because it's like all freedom of speech type stuff, but I don't take any responsibility for my own role in how I've treated that individual, like pure trash. You know, that's the thing that I really got on Bearing's case about. Something that I was a bit less strident about was when you make a video at somebody else. So when I made a video at Bearing, I am directly making a criticism of him. You can respond to that, that's perfectly fine. And if I get dogpiled, then I shouldn't have responded directly to someone that I knew had lots of subs. And that got kind of lost in the mix. That wasn't one of the main things I was criticizing. I was mainly criticizing finding random small channels and just swooping in on those, and I still think that's a very cowardly practice, and I just don't respect people who do that. But I think, yeah, it's fair to make a response back to that person who's responding to you. Your fans dogpiling that person, that's not ideal, and obviously it's something that you should discourage, absolutely, but it's not going to be entirely surprising if that person has attacked you first and then you are kind of like attacking back. But I would only ask that people like be mature, and you should say to your fans like, look, I don't want you to like harass or attack this person. I had to respond to them. But I think at a certain point people just gotta be mature and get over it and be like, alright, fine, and let it go. But I'm not gonna troll around YouTube finding tiny channels just to shit on, because it's fucking stupid and cowardly. Now what Irate Bear did, apparently, because I didn't really follow him, so I didn't really look into the situation. It wasn't really a double standard thing, it was just more of like, I'm somewhat indifferent to this guy's life and what he does, so if something's going on with him, I have to go check it out to even notice, so I did go check it out. He made this video that he since deleted where he went after this guy, Olly, from a Queer Kids type show, and those shows are kind of controversial. I'm not fully sure how I feel about teaching sexuality and things like that to kids of that age. My main issue with that is not giving kids information, which I think is perfectly fine. Just the question is, are the kids too young to deal with that kind of thing? And that's somewhat of an open question. I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not going to address whether it's right, because I honestly, I'm not fully sure, and it also depends on their content, which I don't watch. I think it's a good thing for kids to have information about sexuality and gender identity and all these kind of things, but conceivably it could be too young for kids to need to know about that kind of thing. I don't really know. But teaching kids to be tolerant of people who are different, I'm never going to take issue with that. That's perfectly fine. I don't really need to be wearing these headphones. So whatever the substance of that, Irate Bear went after these guys, and he said that it was full of sort of attacks and pejoratives, and it was quite insulting.
I'm not sure how many of you watched my 4-minute video response I made to a channel called Pop and Ollie. If you don't know who they are, for the most part, a better animated but British version of Queer Kid stuff. They pushed the same agenda, and my video was to point this out. At some point yesterday evening, I began receiving a fuck ton of criticism and dislikes on the video from the creator of Pop and Ollie, calling for his fans to dislike bomb and to mass report the video. Now, I realised that my video had way more ad homs than it should have. I guess I shouldn't have done so, but I have a feeling that Ollie would have perceived my video as hate speech and homophobia regardless. Let me make one thing perfectly clear to you. I am not now, nor have I ever been, a homophobe.
And, it wasn't like a well-intentioned, nicely spirited video. It was like an attack video. He is going directly after this channel, so that's a different situation than, say, Bearing or Undoomed or one of these other channels just dogpiling this small channel that had absolutely nothing to do with them except that they didn't like their point of view. Irate Bear went after them first, so he was kind of the aggressor. So Ollie from this show was like, I'm being attacked by this is a hate speech, a racist, misogynist, homophobe, etc. Go mass report this video, downvote it, and leave negative comments, etc., etc. And so obviously I would have a double standard if I said that I thought what Ollie did was right. And I have to say, yeah, I mean, it is wrong to tell your fans to downvote a video and to leave negative comments, because I think it's unproductive, and because the downvotes should reflect what the people actually think of the video, not just that someone with a larger channel or someone with a different channel is going after you. And the comments should reflect what the people actually think of the video and actually think of what you're saying, not just that they are attacking you because they've been funneled there by a person such as Ollie from the Queer Kids show type thing. So yes, I'm actually on Irate Bear's side when it comes to the downvotes and the comments. Now, as to the flagging, I couldn't possibly say, because a false flag is when you flag something for something that's not accurate. So if there was no hate speech in it, or no homophobia in it, or nothing that was particularly bad, then that would be a false flag, because there wouldn't be anything to genuinely flag it for. But if his video did have hateful content in it, like I don't actually know it was in the video because it's been deleted, I would have to actually watch the video to know what Irate Bear said. If it did have that kind of content in it, then I would probably defend Ollie's right to tell his fans to flag it. But I don't know for sure whether it was a true flag or a false flag. So I can't really comment on that, not knowing what the video was. But I certainly agree, at least on the comments and the downvotes out of hand. I don't need any other context to say that that would be wrong. But as for the flagging, well, it seriously just depends what was in the video, and I have no idea. And even then, it would be a value judgment as to how it lines up with the terms of service and what were the effects of Irate Bear's video. So there's a little bit of nuance there, but I think this is a case where both people kind of in the wrong, because Irate Bear went on an angry tirade against them. There's a bit of warring going on here. So it's a little bit different than, say, Bearing or Undoomed coming along and dogpiling the fuck out of this tiny channel that wasn't really doing anything, just expressing a point of view they didn't like. I really take issue with that, and I very strongly judge content creators who enable that constantly in their work. So it's a little bit apples and oranges, but the thing that was very interesting about this occurrence to me was Irate Bear's response to this. So basically he's like, what I did wasn't ideal, I have some regrets about this, I feel a little bad about what I did, the downvoting and the negative comments and the dogpiling was unfair, and calling me a homophobe and other stuff that's occurred from this was wrong, but I also acknowledged my role in this. And honestly, I mean, that's more self-reflection than I've come to see from like so many anti-feminists. Like Bearing, for example, he lacks the ability to reflect. He lacks the ability to grow from things that he's done. He always just sleazily makes some kind of excuse like, oh, actually I was trying to do this and they just didn't understand it. And so you can see how I was actually in the right and all this kind of thing.
Tim actually named those I was asking him for yesterday. The names of the people who orchestrated this whole thing. The people who gathered up all of our private info and put it in the hands of this serial doxer and shitstirrer. Those names were Danny Courts and Christy Winters.
A few moments later.
I didn't state it was fact that Danny and Christy doxed me. I stated it was me opinion.
Those names were Danny Courts and Christy Winters.
I stated it was me opinion.
Those names were Danny Courts and Christy Winters.
Me opinion.
Those names were Danny Courts and Christy Winters.
I stated
Those names were Danny Courts and Christy Winters.
it was
Those names were Danny Courts and Christy Winters.
me opinion. I stated it was me opinion.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
And that's why I've kind of dismissed him as just having enough quality or integrity of character to really engage with on these kind of topics, because he doesn't really grow from this. But Irate Bear was like, alright, maybe I was sort of in the wrong here, and I sort of stepped in it a little bit. He showed some emotional maturity, which actually surprised me a little bit, because generally, you know, when people make videos after doing this kind of thing, they're just like, I did nothing wrong, or I'm being persecuted, and everything is just an attack on me. But Irate Bear didn't say that. He was like, yeah, you know, I kind of stepped in this a bit. And that doesn't justify the response by Ollie, but it does gain me some respect for Irate Bear. Certainly more respect than I could possibly have for Bearing, who just said, oh, I've never done anything wrong, mate. Everything I do is perfect. Like, fuck that guy. You don't have the integrity to grow from something. So the response is very interesting, but I just gotta say, I did notice that he did a stream with Undoomed about this, and I find that highly ironic, because Undoomed is one of the most dogpiling channels on YouTube. He's even worse than Bearing in some respects, just the way that he constantly degrades and insults the people that he's responding to.
Like, the only time I've like genuinely been dress coded in a school environment was when I showed up to school wearing like a tutu over, I think it was like my jeans or whatever.
Hair makes you look like a hooker. I like it.
Oh, the Butch Dyke showed up in a tutu? Pictures or it didn't happen.
Hi Internet, it's me, Luna, that basic witch.
Hi there, loony.
To where every single list of correspondences for pretty much anything you could ever use in your practice will include masculine or feminine quality.
So, why don't you go thank your mom and dad for not being asexual, you fuckhead?
So, first things first, what is a misogynist?
Everyone knows what it is, you fuckhead.
My mother is Cuban and my father is Finnish American, and I identify as, oh shit, I don't know.
Well, I don't really know either how to identify you, except for the fact that I need a cheese grater to get you off.
And causes dogpile after dogpile after dogpile. So much online hate onto specific channels over and over and over and over and over and over again, just like Bearing. So Undoomed and Bearing are just like the worst of these kind of people. There's other shit ones like Satiritician. Fuck, I mean, like Leafy is here as not anti-feminist, but same kind of shit, just funneling hate at people. And Irate Bear goes on a stream with Undoomed. Oh, Undoomed isn't this so unfair? Most certainly is unfair when you get dogpiled, I tell you what. You are Undoomed. That's all you do. You dogpile people all the time. So it's just a very weird person to get advice from about that. Be like, my heart bleeds for you, fucking moron. But when it comes to Irate Bear, I mean, I don't know what that is, just some kind of oversight or something, like saying the Ollie guy is so bad for all the dogpiling, I'm gonna go hang out with Undoomed. I mean, that doesn't make what Ollie did right, saying like, hey, just go downvote and negative comment this dude. But the very interesting thing about it was that it showed that when something happens to you, you suddenly care about it. And this seems to be like an almost universal human trait. So many people in this world, they're basically like, grow up, man, grow up, be a real man. Bullying is just like, who gives a shit? And then 5 seconds later, you're a bully, stop bullying me, leave me alone, oh my god, this is so mean. Because it's happening to them, and now they suddenly care.
But because right now of the chemical compounds...
Hold on, fuckface. You're denying...
Watch it. Come on. It's been a good conversation.
We're friends. I'm just joking.
Hold on a second. Since you called me a fucking puss, and you do this with the crazy lady at a comedy club,
buddy, I
you
like
think if you scream enough...
Time to listen up, you silly liberal fruitcakes. I
I came out here, I wanted to tell some jokes. Let's do some reality checks here. Do you have any idea, sir, how pathetic it must be to be you?
I have a rule when someone comes on the show. When someone comes on the show, Jared cannot interject.
Congratulations, you're not on the show. And all he did was pull up some fucking
two
information.
People bringing up information. Me without a laptop. No, That's why you have an entire generation of social justice warriors who get their teeth kicked in by the real world because they get into the real world and they realize that it's not safe spaces and trigger warnings. But you can't bring people on and call them pussy and dumb fuck
on, bro. We're joking
bias,
around. I can't.
And then continue going back to an issue and with someone who agrees with you entirely and act as though, now you're defensive? Well, of course I'm defensive.
But your head pops off the pillow in the morning with, oh, how can I be a professional victim today?
There's no jacking back and forth.
Not at all.
You're the one jacking back and forth.
Oh, sweetie. You know that's
Don't
not
call
true.
Me sweetie.
Come on, honey.
That's a bully thing.
Honey.
Come on, that's a bully thing.
If that's a bully thing, then we have a real problem in this country.
Pussy,
Come
dumb
on.
fuck,
that
honey.
That might be dumb fuck, might be bullying.
Yeah.
Sweetie is not bullying.
Which you've done.
Come on, I did it as a joke because I thought we're friends.
No, you don't think we talk every now and then. I do.
I like
listen,
you.
I like you too, but
You don't think we're friends? You brought me a pipe. You gave me a pipe.
I did give you a pipe.
You've been on my podcast twice.
I know.
How dare
I'm
you?
I'm guessing probably not invited back.
You're a goddamn bully. I'll invite you back.
Listen,
Are you serious?
Here's the truth.
Are you upset more than me?
Look, they're confused. They're confused. You know why? Because I'm not your gender studies professor who has to cater to your trigger warning, microaggression, safe space bullshit.
I'm a bully, and that Jamie pulls up statistics that only benefit my ideas.
On that argument, you are.
How is it a bully when two people are talking? How's it bullying?
It's not two people talking, though. You don't have a conversation with two people talking. You have a failsafe. You have other people who agree with you. You have an audience who agrees with you. I'm on your program.
I'm talking to
You're
my
the
audience,
host.
man. Just two people talking.
You're not fighting for free speech. You're not fighting for rights. You're fighting for the right to be a pussy and not hear opinions that you don't like.
Me a fucking a pussy. And you do this with the crazy lady at a comedy club.
I love babies. I hear that baby crying. I like it. What a baby.
I delight in offending people. I think the grievance brigade, victimhood, the idea that hurt feelings are some kind of special currency, I think that needs to come to an end, and America agrees. Yiannopoulos says he wants an apology after Berkeley mayor calls him a white nationalist.
Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here. That's all right.
So there's a tremendous empathy gap in the world of people just walking around saying, I don't give a shit about anything. I don't care about racism. Fuck racism. And then 5 minutes later, like, he said I was a Jew and that I should be in the gas ovens. Oh my God, this is so lame, crying. And then 5 minutes later again, oh, black people whining about racism, losers, who cares? So many people do this. I mean, I'm sure I've done it before. And there's numerous examples of people being far more sensitive when something's happening to them than the rhetoric that they constantly employ around being sensitive. And you know, like, all of these YouTubers have a law. So there's like shoe on heads law, which is the longer you argue about something, the faster the possibility of somebody saying, my mentions! So like, oh, look at all these racists in my mentions, look at all these blah in my mentions, and oh my God, my mentions, leave my mentions alone! And Sargon's Law, which is basically... It's just projection. It's just, he literally just took the, like, psychological thing. It's not even, like, original. It's just, like, other people project about things. No shit, Sargon. My law is a little bit more original than Sargon's one, because it's not just me saying, people who display homophobia are more likely to be gay. Tim's law. No, that's just, like, a common conception. Like, that I can't just take something that's common and just say it's my law. Oh, projection is Sargon's law. My law is a little bit more original than that. And I'm sure somebody else in the world has said it before, but Tim's law is everybody has a blind spot. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, there is a certain subject or a certain something that everybody has that you just cannot talk to them in a reasonable way because they will refuse to listen to you. Anything to do with that subject.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap.
And some people have more blind spots.
It's over for the globalist. Break the conditioning now! Excuse me.
Some people have multiple blind spots.
I'm angry!
And people have blind spots of different sizes, so people will have completely blanket blind spots on a certain subject, or just like little spots on the subject that you just can't approach about that specific subject. So you'll be talking to someone about anything like politics, like just having a nice conversation, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly taxes will come up. Under no circumstances should there be taxes.
You want to fight? You're getting it. You will die, not us.
Like, well, what? Everything else you said sounded reasonable. No, socialist communism. Taxes are for Stalin. It's genocide. And you're like, whoa, Jesus Christ.
I'm a patriot. You people are part of a fruitcake cult. Do you understand that?
Everything else you've said sounds sane, but just on this one issue, you have a tremendous blind spot. You just will not listen to reason. And so many people have that, like talking casual conversation about GMOs comes up.
Ridiculous. Sick. Ugh. Scum. Filth.
Yeah, but what about this fact and that fact? I'm not not listening. GMOs will kill you. Like, that's your blind spot, or that's a blind spot. And if someone has a blind spot, you don't need to throw away the entire individual and say that person is no good.
I know I'm evil, but I try to be good, and I hope God forgives me.
Oftentimes you have to say, man, I love hanging out with blah, 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 but I just can't bring up the subject of X. And there are a few people I know where I'm like, I just can't talk about certain subjects with these people because they will not listen and the conversation will turn ugly. So I just avoid it. I just don't talk about that subject. No matter what I say, no matter how much nuance I try to have about that, I just won't be able to get through. And that's a blind spot. Now, I believe one of the most tremendous blind spots that human beings have is to do with that empathy gap, where you say, people should get the fuck over this. People are just so insecure about this. Well, people always have a problem with racial slurs, but they're just wusses. Like fucking losers. And then somebody says some shit about you, or like you suddenly receive some kind of racial slight, and you're just like, oh my God.
Musician Bo Bice says he was stunned last Friday when an employee at Popeye's Chicken in Hartsfield, Jackson made a racial comment.
One of the three young ladies behind the corner said, he's already got his, that white boy over there. And the fact that I've got to sit on TV and come down a notch and look like a petty little brat by tweeting and Facebooking this just to open up dialogue so we can have an adult conversation is ridiculous. In America, you should be ashamed.
They were mean to me because I'm a white man. And that is part of the empathy gap. There is an empathy gap. And it's always very interesting when you see somebody like Irate Bear, who I can only presume has spent a long time going on about safe spaces and snowflakes and everyone's always getting all their feelings hurt. And then all of a sudden, it was very hurtful when all of those people were saying so many horrible things about me.
I was also being accused of being a homophobe, even though I never once said anything remotely homophobic in the video. There were people screenshotting my face and spam tweeting it at me. There were people calling for my arrest, for my channel to be shut down, and threats against my person. Very tolerant people, wouldn't you say?
The function of Bearing's channel has been to consistently and constantly make videos about tiny YouTube channels and feminist channels, which leads to a massive harassment and dogpiling, people saying you're a faggot, you're a cunt, you're an idiot, you're a cock-sucking motherfucking whore, all over their videos and all over their channel, and that intimidates them into silence, and they shut down their fucking channel.
Tim then goes on to moan about people on Twitter and how they tried to make him feel bad and a whole load of other ranting bullshit. The threats against my person and channel were enough to make me paranoid enough to take it down and remove my face from the internet, even though I know they have my face screenshotted. I should not have reacted in the way that I did to the onslaught of abuse they had thrown my way. Goes on to moan about people on Twitter and how they tried to make him feel bad and a whole load of other ranting bullshit. You know, I find it extremely telling that whilst I was being accused of being a hate-filled bully, they begun actually bullying me. The effects of my video on yours were nowhere near as astronomical as yours, Ollie. Load of other ranting bullshit. As creators, we cannot control how our audiences act. Such is the nature of the internet. However, the atheist gamer left me a comment stating that he had seen a tweet from the creator of Pop and Ollie calling for his fans to dislike bomb and to mass report the video.
Well, what about all that shit you just said about like feminists have to grow a thicker skin and get the fuck over it, and you know they have to be tough, but all of a sudden it's okay for you to kind of cry a little bit about things? That is a blind spot. That's an empathy gap. And just very recently, Wooly Bumblebee, the YouTuber, was in a bit of a fight with Bearing, and I didn't really pay attention to the substance of it because I'm just a little sick of the fucking drama vortex crap which just goes on forever. Wooly Bumblebee shit the bed. This person is a bad person. This person is an idiot. This person, you know, because they disagree with him. Wow, you know, the moment you fucking disagree with this dumbass Australian bogan fuckface, he just makes some video smearing your character, basically. So they were having this back and forth, and then Wooly Bumblebee receives an email. So the emailer is saying, I am literally going to come to your house. This is where it is. I'm going to kill you and your children. And she freaked the fuck out upon receiving this message, because this is just next level. Saying, I know where you live, and I'm going to come over there and I'm going to kill you and your kids. Because you disagreed with this Australian fuckhead on the internet who hides behind a bear cartoon. So from Redacted to the Wooly Bumblebee live streams, Friday, February the 17th, 2017 at 12:34 a.m. Subject, I'm gonna kill you, bitch. Hey bitch, I know where you live. Redacted address, Quebec, redacted. I know where your kids go to school. I am going to come kill you, bitch. You can't accuse people like Bearing of stealing shit without consequences. And now you have consequences coming. I'm gonna get you and your kids. I hope you're happy, cunt. I will be so happy to hear you scream. Fuck you. And Irate Bear was like, oh, I can't believe the kind of vitriol I'm receiving. And Shoe on Head, when she had a fake feminist character who the satirician told multiple times to jump in front of a bus and kill herself, she was very surprised at the hatred that she was receiving, and Armored Skeptic was like, my god, is this how people make arguments these days? Yes, Armored Skeptic, it is. Because I have been around the feminist community for some time and I see the messages they get. It's like that, but it's relentless. And the female members of the feminist YouTube community, they get it a lot worse. For example, this is one recently received by Christy Winters. This was sent to Christy. Lol. So fisty. A rally is coming up. Gonna be lots of lefties, feminists, and Antifa there. I'm still gonna smash the teeth in of a feminist due to you doxing Bearing and sugar tits. I suggest if you want to show solidarity to your feminist sisters, you will apologize profusely to Bearing and sugar tits and admit what you have done, otherwise it's on your head that some feminist cops are beating of a lifetime. Don't double down, don't dismiss this. This is your doing and your consequence of your free action. This isn't Bearing's command. I'm sure if he were to talk to me, he would say don't do anything. Don't blame Bearing like how I know you're going to do. This is me of my own free will telling you that your actions have consequences, Fisty. The feminazi cunt I'm going to hit will come up in my face out of her own free will and will decide to scream at me. Little does she know that because of your actions, I'll shut her the fuck up real quickly. And considering all the violence your side has done lately, people won't be too surprised that the right wing is hitting back anyways. Besides, act like a big man, cop it like a big man. Besides, your side always goes on about gender equality, so me smashing the face in out of a female feminist shouldn't be that big a deal, right? What do I care? It's your fault anyways if you don't apologize to both Bearing and Sugar Tits. So basically extorting her and saying, you have to agree with this dumb Australian fuckhead who is ignorant as shit and dumb as a plank of wood, otherwise I'm going to commit an act of violence. That's how fucking psychotic these people are. And I'm not saying that Bearing is directly responsible for this, but I am definitely saying he's indirectly responsible because that's the kind of climate that has built up online. Basically like dehumanizing other people if they disagree with you. So we have a disagreement about the trans issues. Oh, that means that you're anti-science, you're a special snowflake, and you fucking piece of shit. And I don't think Milo should speak at a university. You're an authoritarian. You must be destroyed. And constantly with this 2 wrongs makes a right kind of thing. I think that this is bad behavior. Yeah, but this on the left is bad too. Therefore, the original bad behavior, that's gone. No, I mean, that original bad behavior is still there. So there's been so many bad things that you just can't talk about, because the moment you mention anything, they're like, there's some other bad thing over here. That thing. So yeah, a bad thing happened to Irate Bear, and he got a bit of empathy, and he's learning from that. And a bad thing happened to Wooly Bumblebee. A very bad thing. That doesn't mean that the bad thing didn't happen to Irate Bear. That means that 2 bad things happened. And Christy is receiving the most insanely hateful messages imaginable. Multiple bad things can be true. It's not like, this is on this side, but this is on this side. It's a wash. No bad things ever happen. So the way that people mentally partition things is infuriating. And that's it. It was just a very simple video I wanted to make. The Irate Bear situation is a little bit different than the things that I've been criticizing all this time. But yep, dogpiling is still wrong. Mass downvoting is still wrong. Leaving negative comments is still wrong. But flagging depends on whether it's a false flag or a true flag, and a true flag would be something legitimately hateful, but the people running YouTube or making these decisions are obviously fallible, so they can make mistakes. So it's a bit nuanced. There's a bit of trickiness around that issue. And now Wooly Bumblebee is like, you know, I don't want to deal with this. My family is being threatened. They said they're going to kill my children and tell me where I live. She's called the police. She's fucking rattled. I'm going to quit YouTube. And I don't want that to happen, because I don't want people to be threatened off of YouTube. I want people to make a stand and say this is wrong and call it out and actually do something about it. But they say that a fish rots from the head. It's just a saying. I don't know if it's true. But if the head of these communities like Bearing and Undoomed are just completely rotten, then it's just a bad scene. Like, it's never going to improve because they just don't care. It will continue to be an absolute cesspool. And I just think that's sad, that voices are being silenced with literal death threats. Threatening to come kill somebody's children. What kind of human being are you? What is wrong with you? That is absurd. It doesn't make any sense. And I would just ask that these kind of psychos are not encouraged by constant hateful videos defaming other people's character. And I think Irate Bear learned a bit of a lesson. And I think that's fantastic, and I give him credit for being a mature individual. So that's my comment on that, and I would just ask that people bring it down a notch. That's probably never gonna happen. Thank you.